October Red Boxing here with, I'm going to say, model behaviour, because you're looking fresh, you're looking nice, and that's just me being complimentary.
Thank you. I've got to stay in the gym in case that a phone call comes, a light heavy dropout. I might have to get back in there. Now, to be fair, I'm miles off light heavy. I'll never make it back.
I thought you was doing football, because I've been watching your Instagram, not in a stalkerish way. I've got to put that out there. Savage put a picture up the other day, and it was a nice picture actually. You're posing, you're talking about football, and I think it was up for like 40 odd seconds, and I liked it, and I was like, that's too quick to like a picture, and I felt bad.
Right on the button, October Red. Listen, you got to get there first. This is what you do. But yeah, I'm playing a lot of football. I have to trick myself into running and doing cardio now, and it's not the same, like, because I don't have the fear of getting punched in the face. It means that I don't wake up and do any running, so I have to put a ball there, and all of a sudden I become the dog and I'm chasing the ball for 90 minutes, and that's it. And the weight's coming off nicely.
From when we first met last year to this year, I will say, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it's working. Is that where that name dog work comes? Because you're like a dog with a ball? And I need to get to the bottom of the dog work.
Do you know what it is? It's all about grafting. I'm not sure how much you know about football, but I'm like...
Educate me.
I am like a player called Sadio Mane. So I've got a bit of class, but I'm willing to outwork you as well. That's it.
And that's just football?
Just football.
But anyway, let's get to the point. We're here with the Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Beefy Smith. We just had the presser. I like it, it was spicy, and it's what we need in boxing. Talk to us about that fight.
Do you know what? I think it's such a good fight. 160 is obviously where Chris Eubank is most comfortable. But Liam Smith is a real test, and I think when you just see how the public have received this, they know it's a 50-50 fight. Chris Eubank will obviously do the thing that he always does, where he takes the higher ground and says, no, actually, I'm levels above you, and this is going to be a public execution. But we all know what Chris Eubank's going to do. Mayweather used to do something similar. He'll sit there and play it down. It will look like he's eating KFC and burgers and all of that. But behind the scenes, you can bet your bottom dollar, once the doors are shut, he's working like an absolute dog to make sure he's at 100% and not 50%. I like the 50% stuff because everyone who hears it will assume he's obnoxious and arrogant, and will either like it or dislike it, and it creates a bit of a thing around the fight. But I think the same kind of thing that we're seeing outside the ring, where there is a lot of entertainment and there is not I wouldn't say a genuine dislike, but they are rivals. You can see it from day one. It will look like that in the ring. I think we'll see a lot of back and forth in the ring. This won't be one-way traffic either way. I'd be dumbfounded if it was. But it's a proper fight. It's a proper fight. Liam Smith is referred to as an old dog, but a good one. He's not an old dog. This is him in his prime. This is like what I'm trying to do. Have my prime late. And I think I still got a few years left, but so does Liam Smith. This is him in his prime. I think he's seasoned. He knows exactly what he is and what he isn't, and he's dangerous. And he's come forward. He's got an aggressive style, but it's tidy. He boxes with it. It's like it's very clinical, and he's beaten some very, very good fighters, and fighters that from the eye test you might assume would beat Liam Smith, but he breaks them all down and he stops them. So I think it's a real dangerous fight for Chris Eubank. Obviously, it is now a test of fighting the immovable object, because no one's ever really been able to put a dent in Chris Eubank Jr. But I have a feeling we see him tested this time.
We talk about those tests. There was a bit of to-ing and fro-ing, and I don't know anything about the sparring history, so you guys might have heard rumours. What is it? Why do they keep on touching on this past sparring between the two of them?
I think the general consensus is, Liam got the better of Chris. Doesn't have to be massive. Sparring, we all know. And how many times have we seen sparring have absolutely no effect on the outcome of a real fight? Because sparring is different depending on who is where in their camp. Is someone 2 weeks out from a fight? Is someone first week into their camp? it's so hard to tell who's where and what version of that person is actually in the ring on the day of sparring. Whereas in a fight, you're both raring to go, usually at optimum performance. This is you at your best. You're prepared to peak at this point. So you can't take too much from it, but you can take confidence from it. And I think Liam does take confidence from that spar, knowing that, you know, Chris Eubank is, if we're being honest, he's known for being a beast in a ring, but he is known for being a good sparrer and for giving people very tough spars. So if you do have a good spar against him and you get the better of him, then you must take confidence from it. And from what Liam's saying or alluding to, you can kind of guess that he got the better of Chris in that sparring. And the fact that Chris is saying, don't remember it. It's not him saying, no, I battered you. He's just saying, I don't remember it. So it's not an admission of guilt. But if you're looking at it from the outside, you can assume Liam got the better of him. And it's confidence, you know, and half of this game is still mental. In fact, more than half of it is still mental. So any kind of mental edge is good for you.
The thing is, with this, and I want you to break down the styles of the two fighters. We've touched on the sparring there, but what I like about them is they're both spiteful. Yeah. They're very, very venomous, spiteful boxers. And when we talk about that, I'm talking about the counter punches that will come in from the both of them. So I'm expecting an absolute war, but your words?
Yeah, I'm expecting 30 seconds or so of having a look, and then them both not necessarily getting in the blender, but that will become a mid-range fight pretty quickly. I know what to expect from Liam Smith because I know how tidy he is, and in many ways he obeys the rules of boxing. He'll catch and shoot, he'll tuck up nicely and try and go to the body and then upstairs. He'll do the stuff that you are used to seeing. Doesn't mean you can stop it, but you're used to seeing it. Whereas Chris Eubank, I'm not sure what we get from him because we've seen him have a bit of a change in styles, and eventually he fights in fights. Of course he does, and he lets the hands go, and in the blender he's very, very good. But we see him, especially with Roy Jones, trying to keep it a bit longer and jab a little bit. I don't think that comes naturally to him. But because he is big and he's naturally the bigger man, he might have a little bit of success with the jab and keeping over there. We saw him drop Liam Williams with the jab. So it's not like he's bad at it. It's just we know that it's a natural Chris Eubank when he just starts whipping in uppercuts and whipping in, you know, clusters of shots. That's what we're going to see. Eventually, at some point, we see it. And we'll probably, at that point, see Liam Smith try and catch and shoot. As soon as he feels a touch there, he'll try and whip something at the same time. It doesn't matter what people think about this fight. This is going to catch fire. Whether it's round one or it's going to catch fire, and it won't stop once it does.
And I am totally with you there. The one thing that you said is that they're both literally going to start to go at each other. Chris Eubank Jr., like you said, with Roy Jones Jr., he's more calm, he's more complacent, he uses the jab more. But I've just got a feeling in this fight, he's going to revert to type, because Roy Jones Jr. said to me before, sometimes the style that he teaches Chris Eubank Jr. isn't the style for the fight. So if Chris Eubank Jr. has to go back to being Chris Eubank Jr., then that is the best for him to get that win.
Yeah, and luckily it's instinctive in all fighters, you know. When you're doing something that you've been taught but it's not working, it's just a switch in yourself that all good fighters have it. It would just be like, I'm just going to do it my way. You know, this is how I fight. It's how I get the best out of me. Yes, this is the tactics, but the tactics aren't really working. And he's the only one in there. He knows what's working and what's not working. So if it's not working, the jab and you know, trying to have a tidy boxing match with Liam Smith, I can't really see that working if I'm totally honest. I'd be shocked if he's able to establish a jab, Chris, and really establish it. And land it. I get him being able to flick one out onto the gloves, but as in to be able to land clean jabs and to look really tidy. Liam Smith's not the fighter to do that against. So you can't really do that against any of the Smith brothers, if I'm honest. Even like Paul, you know, like he had that kind of he had a dog in him, and you have to be the best of the best to really look great against them, like Andre Ward, for example. Andre Ward's obviously, for me, like one of the best of that entire generation. So it's chalk and cheese, it's different. Chris Eubank isn't a boxer, in my opinion. As he can box, but he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He wants to fight. That's where you see the best of him. That's where he gets all his highlight reels. That's where people know he's at his best, when he's throwing shots and punches and bunches. So at that point when it happens, unfortunately for Chris, unfortunately for the fans, that's when they're both at their best. when they're throwing shots, neither of them are particularly slick and, you know, and you know, super evasive. They're both kind of there. So it's, regardless of what the outcome is, it is it's a perfect fight for the fans. Perfect fight.
I can see Chris Eubank Jr. being more evasive than Liam. I can see Liam emotionally getting invested in this fight because Chris has got that skill, even in the ring, to wind you up. And that's what makes it so exciting. It literally, I don't know if the fight's really caught fire yet, but I'm telling you, coming up to fight week, it's going to literally go off.
And also, we're forgetting that that's probably one of the most depressing weeks of the year, January 21st. No one's up for anything yet. Payday's like round the corner. And it's like, no one's going out. You may as well stay in and watch this on box office. It's a cheaper night than going out to dinner. It gives everyone something to look forward to. I think as we get closer to the fight, you'll realise just how much of a fight this is. The sign-ups at Boxer.com have been ridiculous, tens of thousands. So there won't be a spare seat in the house. It really won't. I think you kind of have to be on the button. This will sell out pretty quickly. It's going to be a great night. Honestly, it's a fight quite similar to what I suppose expected the Eubank Ben fight to be like. In terms of they are both at their best when fighting, not when being elusive and evasive. They want to land the shots. So I think it's just going to be like I think it's just going to be a top fight. Really, we needed it. I think we needed it. I think Liam Smith's at that point in his career now. It works for both fighters. There's no one really wins over the other one. You know, it's not a backward step for anyone. It's a bit of a crossroads fight. I think if you're Liam Smith, you're at that stage in your career now where you've only lost to the best. You've only lost up at world level. And the same for Chris Eubank. And the same for Eubank Jr. It's the same. The winner of this will move on. World title winners. It would have to be. The winner is what's the word? He's earned the right to go and fight for a world title now. And I think all the world titles at 160 are all over the gaff right now. I think they're unavailable anyway. So, good fight, great fight. Winner goes on to better things. Bit of a long road back for the loser. But there's lots of fights out there. But in terms of world title aspirations, being able to go after the world honours, I think it is it's a huge bump.
I get it. Liam's your fighter. And I understand that you're going to have to back him anyway. So I'm going to ask you, and it's going to be biased, but what is your prediction? Do you think Liam's going to do it on points, or is it going to be stoppage?
I personally think, regardless this goes, I think we see the final bell.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a close fight. I think there'll be lots of rounds in there that, for the first minute of it, it's entirely one way, and then maybe it swings back the other way towards you. I think the judges are a major point in this fight. What they see, who they like, who's in control. Hopefully everyone sees it the same way, but this is the type of fight, unfortunately, where you get the big swings, and it's just who you prefer, who you'd rather be. It's a firefight. It really is. I would probably edge. I'm not sure. Let me bottle it. Majority draw. No, I back Liam Smith. He's our fighter. He's our fighter, and it's a tough ask for both of them. It's not tougher for one than it is the other. I know Chris is gonna do the high horse thing and look down on Liam and say he's a level above. It's what I would do if that was my personality as well. But it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for both of them. I will go Liam Smith. Split decision. I think it's that close.
Okay. We like it. I can see one of them or both of them touching the canvas and then getting back up. I'm just predicting an absolute war, and it's going to be maybe the heart that's going to make the winner the winner.
At some point, it's a war of attrition. We get it. At some point. I just wonder if that happens early, because if this catches fire when I think it does, then they can't sustain that. Human beings just cannot sustain that for the next 36 minutes. I think this will catch fire in the first round. I don't think we'll wait until the fourth or fifth before there's any action. I reckon they'll both pretty much decide that they're not negotiating the centre of the ring. Chris might take the half steps back, and it might look like Liam can pressure him and move him around the ring. But I think Chris will be doing that off his own will as well. And when he wants to try and take it back, that's when I think you'll have your tear-ups. It's an interesting fight. Honestly, it's a really interesting fight. I hope they both have like really good camps. I don't want there to be any injuries or any niggles and stuff like that. This is the type of fight where you actually need both of them at 100%, because if you have them both at 100%, without fail, you've got a potential Fight of the Year candidate in the first month of the year.
And that is the exciting thing that we like. You cannot beat a British domestic. You just can't beat it. Any word, and you know me, I'm always going on a little fishing trip. Any word on who might be on the undercard? You know I'm going to swoop.
Yeah. I can't say any of those words, but yeah. The thing is, Can we have the
weights? Can we, or one of the weights that might be on the card, and I'll try and figure it out for myself.
Heavyweight.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much closer that gets you.
Okay.
But I think we're gonna have to have a good card. You know, you're asking people to it's pay-per-view. You know, and some people have been like, oh, we're not sure if it is pay-per-view or if it's not. I think it is, and I think Boxer have earned the right to do that. We've given Smith, Williams and Eubank, that was free to wear. Shields Marshall, free to wear. We've earned this one. We've really earned this one. Nobody really would have batted an eyelid if either of those were pay-per-view. This is a pay-per-view fight. It will be a pay-per-view card as well.
But to be fair, your rival in business, Matchroom, I spoke to Eddie and he was saying, look, I get it. At the end of the day, they're paying the fighters, they're booking the venues. There's some events that have to be pay-per-view. You've got to make sure that revenue is covered, and by doing the pay-per-view, that secures that. So, we can understand that people don't really want to put their hands in the pocket. Understandable. However, sometimes you've got to do it. You've got to be choosy on your fights, and like you said, you've got to have a proper undercard for that as well.
You have to, but we've been given incredible value for money all year. Let's be honest, like we've been given ridiculous value for money. This will be value for money as well. It's just that we're asking for some money. And look, you can see just from the press conference, and you'll see what this becomes in the next 8 weeks. This is a pay-per-view fight, and by the time fight week comes around, everyone who's scratching their heads about it now will be like, oh, okay, we get it. Same way people are like, Calmbrook, do we even want it anymore? It sold out in 6 minutes. They wanted it. So it's just one of those. It's one of those things where sometimes it's a pay-per-view fight, but you have to show everyone else that it is a pay-per-view fight. It is. It will be a good card. It will be a great fight. This isn't one of those fights that is all action on a press table and no action in the ring. This is going to be the fight that you actually want to watch. So yeah, all the broadcasters, all the promoters, everyone's jostling for position at the moment. Everyone has to put on fights and put on pay-per-views where they see fit. There'll be some people who don't think certain fights are value for money, but this one is. I don't think this one is a negotiable. I see a couple of people here and there saying, nah, never pay-per-view. I'm just like, you'll see. You'll just have to wait until January 16th for you to realise, oh yeah, that is a pay-per-view fight, and I fancy watching it.
But to be fair, as any customer, because we pay for a subscription for a channel anyway, we would like it to be free, so you're going to get that anyway. That is understandable.
Yeah, look, I have it all the time, just because I'm with Boxer and we've got Sky Sports doesn't mean I don't watch the Zone. Doesn't mean I don't pay. It's just how it is, and as a customer, you can complain all you want. But if you want to watch the fight, you have to watch the fight, and that's it, I think it's a great fight. I think most people think it's a great fight. It's not like anyone's past their prime. It's not. It's a real fight. This is both fighters at the peak of their powers going at it. This is when you can't really complain.
I want your opinion actually before we close off. We've been going for 20 minutes. That's quite some time, isn't it? It's good effort. Your point of view on the Dillian Whyte and Jermaine Franklin fight on the weekend. Just give us a breakdown.
I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched the highlights. I've heard it was very close.
Yeah, it was.
And from what I saw in the highlights, I think I only got like 8 minutes of it. I'm not sure how well that was clipped up. It looked like a close fight. Closer than I thought it would have been. I thought Dillian would try and bully him, but obviously it didn't didn't go quite like that. I've heard lots of people say close fight, but never in a million years is it a robbery. So I guess because I haven't seen the whole 36 minutes, I can only give a fractured account on what I think happened. But I personally think sometimes you look at fights and you score more for the opponent because they're just doing better than you expected. I think we're all, we're all guilty of that. You expect him to get blasted out in round one, and he doesn't, and he gives a good account of himself. So maybe we're going to give him the round. Might not have actually done enough to win the round, but because he's doing better than you expected, you score it differently. Obviously, judges have to keep that in mind. So chances are, from what I see, there's a few people screaming Franklin deserved a draw, perhaps, or something like that. But generally, I feel like after watching those highlights and seeing the result, yes, it was a close fight. The scores reflected that, but I think it was the right decision.
And fair enough. Anthony Joshua was there ringside watching the fight as well. In your opinion, I know you've got a relationship, a friendship with Anthony Joshua. You spoke to him several times. You've done loads of post-fight conversations. You know him. Who do you think he should fight next? And first of all, we heard that he was going to fight this year, that he needs to be more active. And now it's going to be the end of March, first week in April, when we can expect to see him back out. And apparently it's 3 fights he's going to have. Can you choose 3 fights that you think he should have?
The three, as in from a business perspective or from just ones I want to see?
Ones you want to see?
I would like to see...
business perspective after.
I would like to see him. I didn't realise it was looking at maybe March or April. I thought it would be more. I think it's good that he's having this rest. First of all, I get it. You want to get back on the horse, but sometimes you need time off to relight the fire, all of that. I think he'll come back better next year. 3 fights, nice and active. I would like to see Ruiz 3. I think Ruiz has looked pretty good. AJ will be coming off 2 losses to Usyk. Dangerous fight, but it's one as a fan I would actually like to see that. A Ruiz who is not a stone heavier than he should have been when he came in for the rematch. All of that kind of stuff. I'd like to see that. Obviously, I'd like to see the Tyson Fury fight. I'm not sure how far away. You can never tell with that negotiation. You just don't know. I can never tell how close or how far away that really is. And I would definitely like to see Deontay Wilder. That's the 3 I would like to see.
Now, business-wise, what do you think? What fights do you think he should have in that order?
Do you know what? I might be closer there than I think, business-wise as well. I think. Look, I know they're looking at Dillian White. Is it Otto Wallin? Maybe he's in the running as well somewhere. Good business fights in terms of, you would expect AJ to win. But I wonder if it not necessarily damages credibility, but does it captivate a fan? I know AJ can sell anything pretty much. Everyone's going to watch it. But I wonder if that will always be the same. Dillian White, yes, because there's a bit of history. Otto Wallin, I'm not sure how many people are going to be super interested in that. I'm not sure if he's even still in the running, to be fair. Ruiz 3, there's a story, and it's a winnable fight, and it's a style that, depending on what you want to do, you can beat him how you want to beat him. But obviously Ruiz is no mug as well, and he's coming off 2 good wins. So that's a fight I would actually look at, but it's risky as well because he has heavy hands, fast hands. I would try and make the Wilder fight, but business-wise, I'm not sure how good it is because that's obviously a huge risk as well. We don't even really know where Deontay Wilder is in terms of. A lot of people put him further down the pecking order because he's lost to Tyson Fury 3 times. 3 times in my opinion. That's Tyson Fury. And then he comes back and he batters Helenius. Huge power, huge risk. Not a good business move, but financially I'm sure there's plenty of coins there for that. And obviously there's the big one, Tyson Fury. So I'd probably still go a similar route. It's a far riskier route, probably isn't a good business move, but if he beats Ruiz and beats him well, there's not that many fighters in between that level. So you kind of got to go after either a world title, which Fury has, You could. Joe Joyce is another good one. It's a great fight, risky, and you don't really get many rewards for it unless Joe Joyce finds out. Who knows what this heavyweight division is going to do? He could go and get an Usyk fight. You know, you never know. It depends whether you want the big fights or you're chasing belts or you're trying to get in position for this. Some people, I don't know. AJ's in a position to fight whoever he wants, pretty much. You know, everyone will want to fight him because he's AJ's big money. At this point in his career, a lot of fighters might fancy themselves against him as well. Big profile, you get huge plaudits if you fight him anyway. The world's his oyster, but I would like to see Ruiz free, and Wilder and Fury.
We like it. Savage Dan, what an absolute pleasure. That was a nice little cushy little boxing breakdown. We like it. We need to do it again. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. October Red Boxing with the lovely Savage Dogwork Dan.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you in Bournemouth?
Yeah.
I'll see you in Bournemouth.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.